Welcome to the Literally First Class podcast, where I will teach you how to overcome anxiety and achieve somatic success. I'm your host, Keri Ford. I'm a somatic success and holistic life coach here to bring humor, insight, and wisdom to the modern day woman that wants to feel alive in her daily life. You ready? Come on, I saved you a seat in first class. Today I'm going to normalize something that maybe hasn't been normalized for you, especially if you are like me and you're a recovering perfectionist and you want to do everything right and you want to do it really well and you value excellence, which are all great traits of a leader. But your ability to experience rejection and failure is directly correlated to your ability to succeed. And here's the thing, throw in the fact that you might have an online business and a very public-facing brand. Not only are you failing and being rejected, you're doing it publicly. Like that definitely throws in a whole other mix of things. But I promise you, the faster you're able to move through those things, the faster you will ascend, right? And you'll find the things that stick and you'll find the things that work, because marketing is essentially experimenting. And you guys watch me do this all the time. I have had so many failed launches. I've had so many failed ideas. And I've also had ideas that have taken off, that have been brilliant, that have been quote unquote overnight successes. I don't really think there's anything, such as an overnight success, because it's a collective, rep building activity. However, Champagne Club, that was an idea that came to me through a client. A client of mine said, hey, you and I met over a dinner and you seem to know a lot of amazing people. You seem to have an incredible network. I want to know who you know. Why don't you think about throwing like dinner events? And I was like, all right, that sounds cool, because it's true. My calendar was getting so full of one-off dinners with people that were passing through Atlanta that I wanted to know, that hey, we've been connected on social media for a while. Would you like to get dinner sometime? And it became a really great business card and networking opportunity. And at the very least, even if they didn't turn into a client, it was a new friendship, it was a new connection. And I know that the power of my circle, the power of my work is through the relational currency that I have. And so that idea was born. I think in less than 5 weeks, we launched our first Champagne Club. And we had nearly 40 women or 35 women, something like that, come to the first one. And the room sold out. We had to close doors like a couple weeks before. We were like, okay, we literally can't handle any more capacity. Fast forward, we're doing our third Champagne Club dinner this Saturday. And it has attracted an entirely brand new room of women, which is amazing. And so this community continues to grow. The women that are coming, the women that are attracted to this are amazing, incredible humans doing cool things in the world. And that idea was very fast from, idea and inception to production and reality. But throughout the course of this year and last year and the year before and even the year before that and all the years I've been in business, there have been many failed launches, many failed ideas. I'll give you another example of something that doesn't sound so great, because I think that this is a really important conversation to have, and it's real and it's raw and it's candid, right? Like, let's normalize failure, because most people only see the stuff on social media that looks like somebody's winning, that looks like it's taking off, and there are certainly those things. But I remember I had this one launch. It was called Cravings to Confidence, and it was when I was coaching more on the intuitive eating and healing your relationship with food, and becoming your most confident self. And so we went in with this live webinar at the time. I had more than 120 people register. I bought the domain name for the website, all the things. I think we only had 20 people show up live to the webinar. There was an issue with the link. And anyway, not one person, not $1 was made as a result of that webinar and that launch. I never even launched it after that. I think I did a replay, like an encore presentation of the webinar, but I still did not have not one person convert. That's normal, guys. That is normal to have ideas that suck, to have ideas that fail, to have ideas that just maybe aren't even the right timing. Maybe it's a great idea, but the market isn't ready for it. Or it's that there's no market need for it right now. Clearly, there's a need for the Champagne Club, right? Because even post-pandemic, events have been slow to come back, and people are craving in-person touch and connection more than ever. At some point, that may not be a market need, right? Because as that gap gets filled, more and more events come, into the market, and then it becomes saturated. And so what do? You zag when people zig. You constantly have to be refining, and I hesitate to use the word pivot, but be fluid in your approach. I don't want to say pivot because pivot implies that you're going from being a master hairstylist and salon owner to selling real estate, two vastly different industries. But can you be fluid in your message and your approach? Totally. And you should be, and you need to be nimble in this kind of market. So you guys watch me do this all the time. Over the past 2 years, I have had failed things. I've had successful things. I've had great ideas. I've had not so great ideas. I've had good ideas that didn't convert because the timing wasn't right. I've had amazing ideas that didn't convert because the message wasn't, great. It was not communicating what it is I was doing. I've also had things where the messaging was amazing and it needed some work on the fulfillment end. Again, you are constantly learning out loud, and then you throw in running an online business, and not only are you learning, as a leader just in general, but you're learning in front of an audience. And that's probably one of the hardest things about having an online company is people are watching you actively experiment and actively fail and succeed. And sure, you can choose what you highlight and what you post about, but it's really just about being able to be fluid faster. And that's going to determine your level of success. You can't get attached to the failures and the rejections. It doesn't mean a damn thing about you. There are so many variables at play. You just have to just get up and moving on. Okay, time to try the next thing, right? So, and there's a balance to that. There's a balance to knowing who you are and not being willing to sacrifice your values for success, knowing exactly what it is you stand for, the hills that you are willing to die on, and owning those fully. And then the messaging, the ideas, the delivery, that all can be fluid. That can all be, constantly evolving. And so you guys you watch me do this all the time. I think about it and I was not an actor or whatever growing up, but I think about it like a childhood actor or actress. They are learning out loud, and they are growing up in front of you, and as their career continues to grow up in front of you. And that's a really hard thing. I don't think anyone really talks about the trauma that can occur, that can cause and occur in someone's life, because there's so much pressure. There's so much projection that they are receiving, and at a young age, you literally don't know how to process all that. Now, if even as an adult, most people don't know how to process this, but you're receiving all these projections of everything you think you need to be, and everyone's idea of you, and everyone's label and box. And then should you change who you be and the way that they continue to snapshot you in time, capture you in time as a childhood actor, and then you grow up, it's jarring for people. They've got this idea and association of who they think you need to be or who they think you are as this 7-year-old self that was on Home Alone or whatever, Full House. And now you're an adult and maybe you don't match that idealization anymore, that pedestalization. And so there's a lot of pressure that can come from that. And you have to be so anchored in who you are. Like I said, it goes back to your values, that is the thing that continues to lead you, no matter what people think. There's always going to be some element of judgment and projection that you receive online. And you're gonna notice this gets louder as you come more in connection and contact with your own power, your own light, and your own ability to be more visible. You're going to see it get a little bit louder when you're at those edges, because it's really just a reflection of your state of being and the things that you're working through. And you just have to dig your heels in and be so anchored despite that. There's going to be a lot of people that have an idea of who they think you are. I'm sure there's people that have worked with me 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, when I was a totally different person. and they have an idea of who they think I am. And the thing is because I'm so committed to growth, who I am, how I coach, the way I serve continues to evolve every single day. Someone who has worked with me even a year and a half ago, I'm so different. It's a completely different coaching experience now. So I am not the same coach because I'm committed to growth and mastery. I'm not the same person. I'm not the same mother, right? Because we're constantly evolving, growing, and learning. We're always learning. This message sponsored by Po Hung Yu. Have you ever thought about microdosing before? Maybe you've even seen documentaries like Fantastic Fungi or How to Change Your Mind on Netflix. By the way, I have a funny story about the Fantastic Fungi, but you're going to have to ask me offline. Or maybe you've heard about the extensive research happening in the best universities and the evidence showing how mushrooms are game-changing for those with anxiety, depression, ADHD, and even PTSD. So many female leaders and moms have jumped on the microdosing bandwagon to help them better manage modern-day stress. I want to introduce you to our new brand partner, Po Hung Yu. She's a self-mastery mentor, microdosing guide, and a former acupuncturist. And as a successful woman like me, like you, imagine a life where your brain and your nervous system can just relax. That's exactly what happens when you microdose and you're guided by an experienced facilitator. So you can actually be present and enjoy your life minus the anxiety, overwhelm, and stress. The best part is you don't feel high, there's no psychedelic effect, and no one will know. You can still work, be with your kids, drive, exercise, and live your normal day-to-day life. But you'll still receive all of the amazing benefits of mushrooms, like increasing neuroplasticity, flow, creativity, focus, and even your connection and intimacy with your loved ones. Not only will you receive a 15-minute consult where Po will tell you exactly how this process works so you can decide if it's a fit for you, but you'll also get a bonus of $500 off and a complimentary root cause assessment call worth over $800 when you decide to work with Po. Click the link below in the show notes to get started today. So this is your virtual permission slip for anybody that needs it. If you have failed, if an idea has tanked, if you had a launch that made $0, if you had an idea that sucked, if the market wasn't ready for something, today is a new day. Pick something else and go all in on it. Let the past not dictate who you are becoming and the future versions of you that are waiting to be birthed. You holding on to all of the past mistakes, failures, learnings, lessons is only going to slow you down from what you're able to do today and moving forward. You got to just be fluid, let it go. It means nothing about who you are and who you're becoming. I have so many friends and colleagues in the space too that I have watched actually do the whole complete niche change, and all of a sudden, just like that, they blow up out of nowhere. One of my clients came to me, I want to say she had about, 25,000 followers, 20,000 followers when we first started coaching. She has over 1 million followers collectively on all her social media platforms now. It might even be up to almost 2 million if I'm being honest with you. So the thing that changed for her was actually not changing her niche. It was being more of her niche. It was being more of herself. Because when she first came to me, she was like really struggling with people pleasing. Her family was like giving her, who do you think you are? Like feedback. Again, I told you it gets louder the more that you're like right at the edge of that. And she goes, you know what? Fuck people pleasing. I'm not going to be able to please everybody. I'm never going to get rid of the judgment people have. I'm never going to avoid people trying to project their shit onto me. So I may as well just go all out and all in on being me, unapologetically. And when she did, people saw her and people were either for her or not for her. And that's exactly what you want, because they knew that they needed to be part of her community, and the engagement that she has and like the stardom that she found just took off. It took off as a result of her being willing to be all of herself. So that's an example of someone who didn't change their niche, but went more all in on their niche, more of herself, louder on the things that make her who she is, and really unwilling to settle for anything other than that. Another friend of mine, he was doing, I can't even remember, to be honest with you, something with like fitness. Him and a buddy were doing fitness stuff. Then he launches out of nowhere, so it seems like, he probably was in the background working on this book writing publishing agency to help people share their story of trauma and survival. Overnight, it seems, right? Don't forget all the work he's done leading up to that, all the other failed ideas, failed launches, whatever. Launches this, overnight success. Hundreds of thousands of followers find him. He's got this, business that's booming and a full roster of a clientele and articles being written about him and all of these things, right? He found the one thing that was so aligned to him and so purpose-driven and it was like completely different, right? Completely different niche, but it took off. You just don't know. Another person, I don't know this woman personally, but I saw her kind of, I don't know if she was struggling, but I would say she seemed a little lost, like she was trying to figure out her message online. And she would post like inspiring content and she'd get some engagement and, that's a nice thought or that's interesting. But then she really stepped into owning her niche and a specific hill that she was going to die on. And what happened? Her social medias blew up, tons of clients pouring in, people requesting to work with her, thousands of clients served now, right? I mean, anything could change at any moment. So this is the permission slip that maybe you didn't know you needed to go out and to change niches if you need to try something different, to launch the next idea, and to let go of all the other failed lessons and learnings. It's just refinement. Everyone has to go through that in order to handle what's coming, right? I truly believe that God prepares you for this success that he's going to grant you if you put in the reps and you're willing to lean into the lessons. But the only way that you get the lessons is if you learn how to move through them faster. You can't take them personal. It's just refinement. So move on to the next thing, launch the next idea, brush your shoulder off, like dirt off the shoulder. It doesn't matter. None of that defines you. None of that is you. It's just preparation. So I hope this episode finds you well, and I would love to know how this continues to inform the first class moves that you're going to make today, tomorrow, and this next week, and even into the next quarter, because what we do now is going to show up in next year. All right, keep it first class. I'll see you on the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed your flight, and I'll see you on board again soon.
Seriously, though, thanks for listening. If you're ready to take this work deeper and upgrade your mind, I want to invite you to join us inside my Millionaire Mindset program. This is where you'll start using my guided meditations to help you overcome anxiety and experience even more abundance. When you join, you'll have access to my entire audio library. Head over to elevatewithkeri.com and we'll see you inside.